Welcome to my channel World of Coins, the place where history meets treasure. Here, every coin tells a story, from the oldest United States classics that shaped our past to the newest rare discoveries that amaze collectors today. If you love the thrill of uncovering hidden value, exploring the beauty of design, and learning the secrets behind coins worth fortunes, then you're in the right place. Join us as we dive deep into the world of rare U.S. coins, both old and new, and reveal the fascinating details that make them priceless. Top 1. The Lincoln Wheat Penny has always held a special place in the world of American coinage, and the 1937 edition is no exception. This coin stands as a remarkable piece of history, representing not just a monetary unit, but also the story of a nation navigating its way through the late years of the Great Depression. Collectors today look at it as more than just copper. It is a preserved memory of a challenging yet significant period in the United States. When the 1937 penny was first minted, Franklin D. Roosevelt was president, and the country was in the midst of recovery from the economic turmoil that had struck so hard in 1929. Coins like the Lincoln Wheat cent were used daily for buying bread, newspapers, and small household goods. In many ways, this tiny copper piece witnessed the resilience of American families struggling to make every cent count. The obverse of the 1937 Lincoln Wheat Penny carries the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner back in 1909. This image was revolutionary for its time, as it was the first U.S. circulating coin to feature a real historical figure instead of an abstract symbol of liberty. By 1937, the design had already been in circulation for nearly 3 decades, yet its detail and symbolism continued to inspire Americans. Lincoln's profile faces right, with his dignified expression representing wisdom, unity, and leadership. Above his head rests the motto, "In God We Trust," a phrase that became even more meaningful during a time when people leaned on faith and perseverance to overcome hardships. To the left of Lincoln's portrait is the word "Liberty," and to the right, the date 1937. For collectors, these details are not mere words but windows into the artistry of the early 20th century. Turning to the reverse, we see the iconic wheat stalks framing the inscriptions, 1 cent and United States of America. These wheat ears symbolize prosperity, agriculture, and growth, values that America was striving to restore during those hard years. Above the central text sits the motto, E pluribus unum, a proud reminder of unity among states and people. The 1937 wheat penny was struck in 3 different U.S. mint facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia mint produced the highest number, but Denver and San Francisco pennies carry the D and S mint marks respectively. These small letters below the date are often what collectors search for first, as mint mark variations can drastically change a coin's desirability and value. What makes the 1937 wheat penny so fascinating is not just its design, but also its condition and rarity in certain states of preservation. Most of these pennies circulated heavily, showing signs of wear from decades of handling. Finding one in pristine, mint-state condition with a rich, original luster is a true challenge. It is these few surviving gems that command astonishing attention in the collector market. Another element adding to the charm of the 1937 penny is the possibility of errors and varieties. In the world of numismatics, mistakes often become treasures. A misaligned die, a double die strike, or even a repunched mint mark can turn an ordinary coin into something truly extraordinary. Such errors make the hunt for specific 1937 pennies exciting for hobbyists and professionals alike. Collectors are also captivated by the history these coins carry. Imagine the countless hands a 1937 penny may have passed through: factory workers, farmers, schoolchildren buying candy, or even soldiers preparing for the challenges ahead as global tensions began to rise toward World War II. Each coin carries untold stories of real American lives. The copper composition of these pennies also adds to their appeal. Unlike modern coins, the wheat penny was made primarily of copper, with a small mixture of tin and zinc. The warm red or brown tones of these coins can vary based on how they were stored, handled, and preserved, giving each coin its own unique personality. Over the decades, collectors have cherished the Lincoln Wheat series as one of the most approachable and rewarding coin collections. The 1937 issue often serves as an important milestone for those trying to build a complete set, as it is readily available in lower grades but can be extremely rare in gem condition. Demand for the 1937 penny has grown steadily among numismatists, not just because of its age, but because it belongs to one of the most beloved coin series in U.S. history. When one thinks of American coin collecting, the Lincoln Wheat Penny almost always comes to mind first. Auction houses across the United States have witnessed intense bidding wars over high-grade examples of the 1937 penny. In particular, coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC can fetch prices that surprise even seasoned collectors. The difference between a heavily circulated coin and a flawless mint state specimen can be staggering. While millions of 1937 pennies were struck, only a tiny fraction have survived in superb, untouched condition. Many were lost, melted down, or simply worn away in circulation. This rarity in top grades is what fuels the coin's immense collector value today. The legacy of Victor David Brenner's design also keeps the coin in the spotlight. His vision of honoring Abraham Lincoln on America's cent has endured for more than a century, with only minor modifications along the way. Holding a 1937 penny connects us directly to Brenner's artistry and the era in which he worked. Numismatics is not just about coins, it is about preserving history. The 1937 Lincoln Wheat Penny serves as a tangible artifact from an America that was rebuilding its strength. Collectors often feel a sense of pride when adding such a coin to their collection, knowing it embodies both artistry and history. The penny's design also speaks to universal themes, freedom, unity, and prosperity, that continue to resonate even today. This explains why wheat pennies, even in common dates, never lose their charm or collector demand. Stories from collectors often reveal the thrill of unexpectedly finding a 1937 penny tucked away in an old jar or inherited collection. Such discoveries spark curiosity and sometimes lead to lifelong passions for coin collecting. For young collectors starting their journey, the 1937 wheat penny is often one of the first coins they encounter. Its affordability in lower grades makes it accessible, while its potential rarity in higher grades makes it an aspirational goal. Coin shows, auctions, and private sales regularly feature the 1937 penny as a highlight, especially when examples with sharp strikes and glowing red luster appear. Such coins can instantly elevate a collection to a higher level of prestige. The emotional value of the coin should not be overlooked. For many, it represents a link to parents, grandparents, or great-grandparents who lived through the 1930s. It is a way to hold in your hand a piece of their everyday life. From a financial standpoint, the coin's performance in the marketplace has shown remarkable strength. While common worn examples may only bring modest sums, those that are pristine command prices beyond what most people would imagine for a single cent. Some of the most breathtaking sales of the 1937 penny have occurred at specialized auctions, where bidders from around the world compete for the finest known specimens. The allure of owning a coin nearly 90 years old in flawless condition cannot be overstated. Collectors also treasure the 1937 penny for its role in completing the broader Lincoln cent series, which ran with the wheat design until 1958. As part of this larger narrative, the 1937 issue stands as a vital chapter in one of the longest-running coin series in U.S. history. The cultural resonance of Abraham Lincoln himself adds layers of meaning to the coin. Known as the Great Emancipator, Lincoln's legacy of leadership, sacrifice, and vision for unity makes his image on the humble cent deeply significant. Every detail of the 1937 penny, from its inscriptions to its copper sheen, connects us to that legacy. Holding the coin can inspire a sense of reverence, reminding us of the endurance of American ideals even during times of great difficulty. Numismatists often describe the joy of completing a Lincoln Wheat Penny collection as one of the most satisfying achievements in coin collecting. The 1937 penny, especially in superb condition, often stands as a proud centerpiece of such collections. Ultimately, the story of the 1937 Lincoln Wheat Penny is about more than metal. It is about history, artistry, resilience, and discovery. From the moment it was struck to the present day, it has held meaning for generations of Americans. And for those fortunate enough to hold one of the rarest and finest surviving examples, its value can reach as high as $478,000. Top 2. The Lincoln Wheat Penny is one of the most iconic and beloved coins in the history of American money. Among the many years it was produced, the 1939 edition carries its own unique charm and significance. This small copper coin represents a time when the United States was still recovering from the Great Depression and slowly moving toward the challenges of a world that was on the brink of war. The 1939 penny was more than just a simple coin for everyday transactions. It was part of the lives of millions of Americans who relied on every cent to make ends meet. For some, it bought a newspaper, a candy bar, or a loaf of bread. For others, it became a part of their savings jar, tucked away for harder days. The obverse design of this coin features the famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln. Created by Victor David Brenner in 1909, this portrait was the first time a real historical figure appeared on a U.S. circulating coin. By 1939, Lincoln's dignified profile had already been cherished for 30 years, and it still carried the same strength and meaning it had on its very first day of minting. On the obverse, you see Lincoln facing to the right with a thoughtful, steady gaze. Above his head is the national motto, "In God We Trust," which symbolized the perseverance and hope of the American people. To his left is the word "Liberty," and to the right, the date 1939. Depending on where the coin was struck, you may also notice a small mint mark just below the date. The reverse of the coin is equally impressive, displaying the classic wheat design. Two wheat stalks frame the central inscriptions, 1 cent and United States of America. Above these words is the motto, E pluribus unum, a Latin phrase meaning, out of many, one. These symbols remind us of the unity and agricultural strength that the United States depended on during this period. The 1939 wheat penny was struck at 3 different U.S. mint facilities, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia coins carry no mint mark, while the Denver pennies have a small D, and the San Francisco pennies a small S beneath the date. Collectors pay close attention to these marks, as they can affect rarity and value. Philadelphia produced the largest number of 1939 pennies, making them the most common of the 3. Denver produced fewer, and San Francisco the least, which adds extra appeal to coins from the West Coast Mint. Even so, all 3 varieties can be fascinating for collectors. For most people in 1939, the penny was simply a tool for daily life. But for modern numismatists, the coin carries far more meaning. The survival of these coins in pristine condition is incredibly rare, since most circulated heavily during the 1940s and beyond. This makes the hunt for a high-grade 1939 penny especially exciting. The composition of the 1939 Lincoln Wheat Penny is primarily copper, with small amounts of tin and zinc. Its warm red and brown tones are part of what gives these coins their distinct beauty. Over time, pennies can change color depending on how they were stored, adding even more character to each example. Collectors are always on the lookout for unusual varieties and minting errors, and the 1939 penny is no exception. Some coins display doubled dies, repunched mint marks, or striking errors that occurred during the minting process. These rare mistakes can turn a common coin into a highly valuable treasure. Imagine a coin struck slightly off-center, or one with doubled letters in the date or inscriptions. Such details make these coins especially desirable, as they combine rarity with the fascinating story of human error at the mint. Auction records show just how much collectors are willing to pay for the finest examples of the 1939 penny. While lower-grade coins remain accessible to beginner collectors, pristine specimens with blazing red luster can command astonishing prices at major coin sales. For those building a complete set of Lincoln Wheat Pennies, the 1939 issue is a key piece. It falls in the middle years of the series, and it represents the transition period before America entered World War II. Having one in top condition elevates any collection to a higher level. Beyond its numismatic value, the 1939 penny is a tangible reminder of life in America at the time. Families were beginning to recover from the harsh years of the Depression, and industries were preparing for the possibility of global conflict. This penny, passed from hand to hand, silently bore witness to those historic moments. Lincoln's presence on the coin adds even more meaning. Known as the Great Emancipator, his image symbolized unity and hope for the future. His portrait on such a humble coin reinforced the idea that leadership and courage could be found even in the smallest details of daily life. Collectors often describe the Lincoln Wheat Penny as the gateway coin into the world of numismatics. Affordable in lower grades, yet capable of extraordinary value in higher grades, the 1939 penny is a perfect example of why people fall in love with the hobby. Stories abound of people finding old wheat pennies in coin jars, drawers, or inherited collections. Every so often, one of these forgotten coins turns out to be a rare treasure, sparking excitement and even life-changing discoveries. At coin shows and auctions, the 1939 penny often draws the attention of both new and veteran collectors. Its balance of history, design, and rarity makes it one of the more sought-after wheat pennies of the late 1930s. The artistry of Victor David Brenner's design continues to resonate with collectors and historians alike. His vision of honoring Lincoln on America's cent has endured for well over a century, and the 1939 penny remains a striking example of his enduring work. Holding a 1939 penny in your hand is like holding a time capsule. It connects you directly to an era when a single cent held significant buying power and when every coin mattered in the daily life of Americans. The penny's condition is what truly sets apart ordinary pieces from extraordinary ones. Coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC can reach into the highest levels of rarity and value when they exhibit sharp detail, glowing luster, and pristine surfaces. Even small differences in grade can mean the difference between a modestly priced collectible and a coin worth thousands. This is why serious collectors often invest in certified examples of the 1939 penny. For historians, the penny is also a fascinating artifact. It links together the economic, political, and social currents of late 1930s America. From the recovery of the Depression to the looming shadow of global war, it represents a crucial turning point in U.S. history. The charm of the Lincoln Wheat series also lies in its accessibility. Anyone can begin collecting them, and over time, each discovery leads to a deeper appreciation for the artistry and history of these coins. The 1939 penny is an essential part of that journey. Auction catalogs often feature the 1939 penny, highlighting its scarcity in top grades and its desirability among collectors. When a gem-quality example appears, it is not unusual to see passionate bidding as collectors vie for ownership. The appeal of the 1939 penny is both emotional and financial. For some, it represents a piece of family history, passed down through generations. For others, it is a serious investment with the potential for great rewards. In the end, the story of the 1939 Lincoln Wheat Penny is about more than metal and minting. It is about resilience, artistry, and the American spirit during a pivotal time. From its design to its survival, it tells a story that continues to captivate collectors worldwide, and for those rarest, most pristine surviving examples of the 1939 Lincoln Wheat Penny, the value can climb as high as $468,000. Top 3. The Lincoln Wheat Penny is one of the most widely recognized coins in American history, and the 1941 edition carries a special significance. This penny was minted at the dawn of a turbulent era, when the United States was on the edge of entering World War II. For collectors today, the 1941 wheat penny is more than a coin. It is a preserved artifact of a nation standing at the crossroads of history. The year 1941 marked a pivotal moment in the United States. While Americans still faced the lingering effects of the Great Depression, industries were rapidly shifting toward wartime production. Every cent counted, and the Lincoln penny was in the pocket of nearly every American citizen, circulating daily in shops, schools, and factories. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse of the 1941 penny showcases the timeless portrait of Abraham Lincoln. His steady profile had already been part of U.S. coinage since 1909, making him the first real historical figure to appear on circulating coinage. By 1941, this design had become a symbol of unity, strength, and leadership. Above Lincoln's head is the phrase, "In God We Trust," which carried profound meaning for Americans facing uncertain times. To his left appears the word "Liberty," while the date, 1941, is clearly placed to the right of his portrait. Depending on where the coin was minted, a small letter may appear just below the date, indicating its mint of origin. The reverse of the 1941 penny is framed by two wheat stalks, which is why it is affectionately known as the wheat penny. Between these stalks are the bold inscriptions, 1 cent and United States of America, with the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, stretching above. This design reflects the importance of agriculture and unity during a time when the nation relied on both to endure hardship. 3 different mints struck the 1941 penny. Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia coins carry no mint mark, while Denver coins bear a small D and San Francisco coins carry an S. For collectors, these mint marks are crucial in identifying the rarity and desirability of each piece. The Philadelphia Mint produced the highest quantity of these coins, making them the most common. Denver followed with a smaller, though still substantial, production. San Francisco produced fewer coins overall, making the S mint mark examples slightly scarcer and often more appealing to dedicated collectors. At the time, the penny was struck in 95% copper with small amounts of tin and zinc. Its warm, reddish tone made it visually appealing, and collectors today prize examples that have retained their original bright luster. Over time, many 1941 pennies toned to darker shades of brown, depending on how they were stored or handled. While most of the 1941 pennies were used in everyday circulation, some survived in exceptional condition, untouched and carefully preserved. These are the coins that captivate numismatists today, as high-grade examples are far rarer than their common circulated counterparts. Era varieties also play a key role in the appeal of the 1941 wheat penny. Mistakes such as double dies, off-center strikes, and repunched mint marks have been recorded, making these pieces especially valuable to collectors who treasure the unusual and unexpected. Imagine spotting a penny where the date appears doubled, or where the mint mark looks like it was punched more than once. These rare mistakes transform an ordinary coin into a true collectible, one that tells a unique story of the minting process itself. Beyond its design and variations, the 1941 penny connects directly to the history of its time. It was the last full year before the United States entered World War II following the attack on Pearl Harbor. Millions of these coins may have been in the pockets of soldiers, workers, and families during this historic transition. Auction houses and coin shows often feature the 1941 penny, especially in high grades. Collectors love the balance of availability and rarity. While circulated coins are common and affordable, pristine examples with glowing red luster are far harder to find and much more valuable. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC certify the quality of these coins, and their labels add confidence for collectors and investors. The difference between a coin graded as extremely fine and one graded mint state red can be thousands of dollars in value. What makes the 1941 penny even more appealing is its accessibility for new collectors. Beginners often encounter this coin in starter collections, while advanced numismatists chase the rarest and most valuable versions. It bridges the gap between entry-level collecting and high-end investment. The design by Victor David Brenner also contributes to its lasting appeal. His vision of honoring Abraham Lincoln on the nation's cent was groundbreaking in 1909, and by 1941, it had become a classic symbol of American resilience and pride. The wheat stalks on the reverse are not only artistic but also symbolic of the nation's agricultural roots. During the early 1940s, America's farms were critical in feeding both the population at home and eventually the soldiers abroad. The wheat design connected directly to this lifeline of the country. Every 1941 penny tells a story. Some were tucked away in piggy banks, others traveled across the nation in pockets and purses, and many were saved as keepsakes by families who sensed the importance of that moment in history. The survival of high-quality examples is remarkable when you consider how many were spent and used during the war years. These preserved coins act as miniature time machines, bringing us face to face with an era of great change. Collectors often describe finding a 1941 penny as a thrilling moment, especially when it turns up in old coin jars or inherited collections. Even if most are common, the chance of uncovering a valuable specimen keeps the excitement alive. The emotional connection to this coin is undeniable. For many, it is not only about monetary value but about holding a piece of history that their parents or grandparents may have once used. It connects generations through a small yet powerful artifact. Coin shows across the country continue to highlight the 1941 penny, and collectors from around the world seek out the rarest examples. When one with superb color and sharp detail appears, it often sparks intense bidding. The financial value of this penny is impressive, especially for rare high-grade examples. What was once worth a single cent can now be worth thousands or even hundreds of thousands, depending on condition and rarity. Beyond value, however, the 1941 wheat penny is a story of resilience. It is a story of America preparing for war, of families scraping by through frugality, and of a nation unified in determination. Victor David Brenner's portrait of Lincoln adds to this narrative, reminding us of a leader who guided the nation through its greatest internal struggle and whose legacy continued to inspire in 1941. Holding a 1941 penny allows us to pause and reflect on history. It is more than copper and zinc, it is the story of a nation, its people, and its endurance. Collectors will continue to treasure the 1941 penny for generations to come. It embodies artistry, history, and the thrill of discovery all in one small coin, and for the finest, most pristine surviving examples of the 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny, the value can soar as high as $446,000. Top 4. The Lincoln Wheat Penny is one of the most iconic coins in the history of the United States, and the 1945 edition carries a story that reaches far beyond its copper surface. This coin was minted during the final year of World War II, a year filled with both tragedy and triumph for the American people. When the 1945 penny was released, millions of soldiers were still overseas, while families back home were doing their part to support the war effort. Every cent truly mattered in those days, and the humble wheat penny was part of that daily struggle and sacrifice. On the obverse of the 1945 penny is the enduring image of President Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909, this portrait had already become one of the most familiar faces in American coinage. By 1945, it symbolized not only leadership and unity but also the perseverance needed to see the war through to the end. Above Lincoln's profile appears the phrase, "In God we trust," a motto that carried profound weight during a time when faith was central to the hope of millions. To the left of Lincoln rests the word "Liberty," and to the right, the date, 1945, which stands as a marker of history. The reverse side of the coin features the famous wheat design, with two stalks curving along the edges to frame the inscriptions, 1 cent, and United States of America. Above is the Latin phrase, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one, a motto that carried deep patriotic meaning during the unifying war years. 3 Mint struck the 1945 penny, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Philadelphia were produced in massive numbers and bear no mint mark, while those from Denver carry a small D, and those from San Francisco carry an S. For collectors today, mint mark differences play a big role in determining rarity and desirability. The Philadelphia mint struck the largest share, making these coins the most common. Denver coins are also relatively plentiful, while San Francisco coins are less common, giving them a slightly higher level of interest among collectors. The composition of the 1945 penny is 95% copper with a small mixture of tin and zinc. This was significant because only 2 years earlier, in 1943, the U.S. Mint had experimented with zinc-coated steel pennies to save copper for the war. By 1945, copper returned to cent production, and these coins became symbols of post-war normalcy. For most people of the time, these pennies were simply everyday money used to buy food, newspapers, or bus rides. Yet, for collectors today, the 1945 penny tells a much deeper story, one of victory, resilience, and the final chapters of a world conflict. Many 1945 pennies circulated heavily, which means most examples found today are worn and show their long history of use. However, coins that were carefully stored away and survived in pristine, mint state condition are extremely rare and highly prized. The condition of a 1945 penny is one of the most important factors in its value. Collectors look for sharp strikes, original luster, and minimal marks. Red-colored coins, which retain their bright copper glow, are far more desirable than brown-toned examples. Rarer varieties of the 1945 penny add to the excitement. Some coins show double dies, off-center strikes, or repunched mint marks. These small mistakes during production make them rare treasures and fascinating pieces of minting history. Imagine holding a penny where the lettering is slightly doubled or where the mint mark looks like it was punched twice. These unique quirks transform an ordinary coin into something truly extraordinary in the eyes of collectors. Auction houses and coin dealers regularly feature the 1945 penny, especially in high grades. While circulated examples are common, pristine gems graded by PCGS or NGC can attract intense bidding wars among serious collectors. The year 1945 is also symbolic beyond numismatics. It marked the end of World War II, the return of soldiers to their families, and the beginning of a new chapter for the United States. This historical weight adds to the allure of the 1945 penny, making it more than just currency. for collectors, owning a 1945 penny is like holding a piece of history from one of the most important years of the 20th century. It represents the closing of one of the darkest chapters in history and the dawn of peace. The Lincoln Wheat Penny series as a whole is beloved for its accessibility and history. The 1945 edition, falling in the middle of the series, is both approachable for beginners and highly rewarding for advanced collectors seeking high-grade or rare error examples. Victor David Brenner's design continues to inspire admiration. His portrait of Lincoln conveys dignity and leadership, while the wheat ears on the reverse remind us of the nation's agricultural roots and strength during wartime. Every 1945 penny tells its own story. Some were carried in the pockets of soldiers returning from the front. Others passed through the hands of families adjusting to peace and rebuilding their lives. Each coin carries with it the silent stories of real people. The appeal of the 1945 penny also lies in its symbolism. It is not only a coin of copper but also a coin of hope, victory, and resilience. Its small size belies the enormous history it represents. For young collectors, finding a 1945 penny is often a thrilling discovery. For older collectors, it may stir memories of family stories from that pivotal year. This emotional connection enhances the coin's importance beyond its numismatic value. In coin shows across the country, the 1945 penny often catches the eye of enthusiasts. Its historical context and its place in the Lincoln series make it a highlight in many collections. The market for the 1945 penny has been consistently strong. While common examples are affordable, the finest specimens, those with radiant luster and perfect surfaces, are extremely rare and command remarkable prices. What makes this coin truly captivating is that it embodies both ordinary and extraordinary qualities. It was once the most common and humble piece of currency, yet in the right condition, it has transformed into a valuable treasure. The 1945 penny reminds us that history is often found in the smallest of things. A single cent can carry with it the weight of a nation's story, linking the present to the past. Collectors will always hold the 1945 penny in high regard. It combines beauty, history, rarity, and emotion into a single piece of copper that speaks louder than its face value ever could. And for those rarest examples that have survived in flawless, uncirculated condition, the value of the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny can reach as high as $425,000. Top 5. The Lincoln Wheat Penny has long been one of the most admired coins in American numismatics, and the 1947 edition holds its own special charm. This copper cent emerged in the post-World War II era, when the United States was transitioning from war to peace, and prosperity was beginning to take root across the nation. By 1947, America was in a period of recovery and growth. Factories that had once been dedicated to producing tanks and planes were now turning their energy toward consumer goods. Soldiers had returned home, families were reunited, and a spirit of optimism was spreading. In the pockets of ordinary Americans, the 1947 penny was a quiet witness to this new beginning. On the obverse of the coin is the distinguished portrait of President Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909, Lincoln's profile had already been a national icon for nearly 4 decades by the time the 1947 penny was minted. His presence on the coin continued to remind Americans of unity, resilience, and leadership. Above Lincoln's image rests the motto, "In God We Trust," which carried deep meaning in the years following a global war. To the left is the word "liberty," and to the right is the date, 1947. Some coins also feature a mint mark just below the date, depending on where they were produced. The reverse of the coin is adorned with 2 wheat stalks, framing the inscriptions, 1 cent, and United States of America. Above the text is the phrase, E pluribus unum, a Latin motto meaning, out of many, one. This design, simple yet powerful, symbolized the nation's strength rooted in agriculture, hard work, and unity. The 1947 penny was struck at 3 U.S. mint facilities, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Philadelphia coins carry no mint mark, Denver coins bear a small d, and San Francisco coins carry an S just below the date. Each mint mark adds its own level of rarity and collector appeal. The Philadelphia Mint produced the highest number of pennies in 1947, making them the most common today. Denver followed with a slightly smaller output, while San Francisco coins were struck in the lowest numbers, which makes them a bit scarcer for collectors seeking to complete their sets. Made from 95% copper with a small mixture of tin and zinc, the 1947 penny displays a warm reddish tone when well preserved. Over time, many of these coins have developed darker shades of brown, while the finest surviving pieces still glow with their original red luster. For millions of Americans in 1947, these pennies were simply everyday money. They jingled in pockets, paid for candy and bus rides, and even ended up in savings jars tucked away in kitchen cupboards. For modern collectors, however, the coin has become a fascinating relic of a transformative era. The majority of 1947 pennies saw heavy circulation, and most examples today show obvious signs of wear. However, pristine, uncirculated coins that were saved from the start remain highly desirable. Collectors prize these pieces for their sharp details, brilliant color, and rarity. Era varieties add another layer of excitement to the 1947 wheat penny. Some examples feature double dies, off-center strikes, or repunched mint marks. These accidental variations from the minting process can turn an ordinary coin into an extraordinary discovery. Imagine stumbling across a penny where the date looks doubled, or the mint mark appears slightly misplaced. These small irregularities create significant value in the numismatic world, making the search for such coins thrilling. Auction records show that collectors are willing to pay impressive sums for 1947 pennies in top condition. Coins graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC, particularly those with the red designation, can command staggering prices when they come up for sale. The Lincoln Wheat Penny series has always been admired for its mix of history and artistry. The 1947 penny falls in the later years of the series, just over a decade before the design was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial Reverse in 1959. This makes it an essential piece for anyone assembling a complete wheat penny set. The story of the 1947 penny is also the story of post-war America. Families were buying homes, automobiles were rolling off production lines in record numbers, and children were enjoying a new age of optimism. In every corner of the country, the penny was part of that story. Collectors value the 1947 penny not only for its design and condition but also for its historical significance. It stands as a reminder of how far the United States had come since the hardships of the Depression and the trials of the war years. For new collectors, the 1947 penny is often one of the first wheat cents they encounter. Its availability in lower grades makes it approachable, while its potential rarity in top grades makes it an aspirational goal for more advanced enthusiasts. Victor David Brenner's design continues to resonate through coins like the 1947 wheat penny. His vision of honoring Abraham Lincoln with dignity and grace ensured that even a humble cent carried immense symbolic power. The wheat ears on the reverse serve as more than decoration. They represent America's reliance on agriculture and the foundation of prosperity that farming provided. In 1947, this symbolism was still fresh and meaningful, as farmers helped supply food for both domestic and international recovery. Every 1947 penny has its own unique journey. Some may have been kept as pocket pieces, some saved in rolls, and others spent thousands of times before being forgotten in old jars or boxes. These journeys only add to the charm of discovering one today. For historians, the penny is a miniature artifact. It allows us to connect to the people, events, and spirit of a particular year, offering a tangible link to everyday life in the past. Collectors often speak of the joy of finding a coin like the 1947 penny unexpectedly, whether in a family collection, a box of old change, or at a flea market. Such finds can spark a lifelong fascination with numismatics. Coin shows and auctions frequently feature 1947 pennies in various grades. When a gem-quality example appears, with brilliant color and razor-sharp detail, it becomes a highlight that excites both collectors and dealers alike. The market for these coins has been consistently strong, as interest in the Lincoln Wheat series shows no signs of fading. The blend of accessibility for beginners and potential value for advanced collectors makes the 1947 penny a standout. What sets this coin apart is not only its monetary worth but also its emotional value. For many, it represents family stories, post-war memories, and a nation stepping into a new chapter of prosperity. The 1947 Lincoln Wheat Penny proves that even the smallest coins can carry the greatest stories. It reminds us that money is not only for spending but also for preserving history, art, and memory. Collectors treasure the 1947 penny for all these reasons. It is a coin that continues to inspire respect, fascination, and admiration more than 7 decades after it was struck, and for those rare, flawless surviving examples of the 1947 Lincoln Wheat Penny, the value can reach as high as $415,000.